economic pyramid. The COVID-19 pandemic, for example, not only brought home the intense local impact of tremendous external shocks occasioned by disruption of international supply chains and markets, it also revealed the limitations of the prevailing economic model and exposed the full extent of the nexus between the state and citizens. For those who had jobs, majority of whom were in the informal sector, the prices of essential commodities rose beyond the purchasing power of their incomes, demonstrating the precarity of the majority of our people's livelihoods, and serious illness brought with it the ever-present threat of poverty arising from exorbitant medical costs. Although there was opportunity to use the COVID-19 downtime to increase agricultural productivity, subsidizing farm inputs was not a priority compared to vendor-driven pandemic-related expenditure, which eventually failed due to wastage, corruption, non-performance, and delays. Other measures and programs undertaken during this time exacerbated the suffering of Kenyans at the bottom and made many people question the priorities of their government. This was the beginning of the national conversation that subsists to this minute and has anchored robust engagements which defined the last election and subsequent political and policy discourse. The primary bone of contention is, who does the government work for? An old and favored approach to answering this question was to pledge to do more, in fact, much more, of the same old policies, programs, projects, and interventions that have failed at such a high cost that poverty, unemployment, and underdevelopment are actually intolerable. The other option was to embrace a bold new vision and undertake ambitious interventions aimed at transforming the country's economy by creating jobs, increasing incomes, while ensuring that food, shelter, and health are available to everyone, especially those of us who are not privileged. I say this in reflection because a trend was created that using other people's money, which is debt, is a very innovative way of delivering government programs, which is the biggest fallacy, because as a result of using other people's money and contracting debt left, right, center, front and back, we drove our country almost to the brink of debt distress. And it became our first assignment to steady the economy of our country and to pull back our country from going over the cliff. I am very proud today that almost a year in, our economy has steadied. I am very proud today that the interventions that we have taken, though not popular, though very painful, but I want to say here, they have paid off. Today, our country is on fairly sound economic footing. And our decision to do more around collecting our own taxes, to do more about living within our means, and to borrow less, and to work on our fiscal deficit, I must admit, has paid off better than I even thought myself. And I want to thank the people of Kenya for having confidence in the measures that we have taken. We engage Kenyans all over the length and breadth of our country on the most urgent priorities and the best ways and means of implementing them. Ultimately, it became clear that the new approach to national development was not only going to be ambitious and visionary, it was also going to be radical and transformative. To begin with, the plan was going to turn the national development agenda upside down. From the traditional top-down model that is essentially elite-centric to a bottom-up model that is citizen-centric and people-centered. Secondly, the model would aim to positively impact millions of Kenyans at the bottom by focusing interventions where the greatest number find their livelihoods, which is the informal sector, and especially agriculture and the hustler economy. Thirdly, a new model will entail measures to not only create millions of jobs and increase incomes, but also reduce the cost of living by mitigating the cost of energy, transport, shelter, healthcare, as a share of household incomes. We agreed with Kenyans that to deliver this transformative model, 5 sectors would form the core pillars of our agenda to bring down the cost of living, eradicate hunger, create jobs, expand the tax base, improve our foreign exchange balance, and deliver inclusive growth, and to do so from the bottom up.